Hey, good morning. I wanted to talk to you about intentions. I wanted to talk to you about success. I get this email here I'm looking at right now from somebody that says, "Hey, Bret, can you give me your formula for success?" And I got to thinking about it, and it was like, what I'm seeing right now, trending everywhere, is the new word manifestation. Obviously not a new word, but it's the trending word. For a couple years, you and I were seeing the trending word out there, narcissism. There always seems to be some, trending word. And the new trending word I see is manifestation. Even Tony Robbins is out there and he's selling how you can manifest things. Well, listen to me, folks. Let's cut to the chase. The shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. Let's go back 1,000,000 years. Let's go back 500,000 years, 500,000 years. Let's go back 250,000 years. Hell, let's just go back 50,000 years or 10,000 years or 5,000 years before this word manifestation probably even existed. And let's just go to our feelings. Because remember, long before the English language existed or any other language existed, there was feelings and emotions, and at best, we were clicking, grunting, and or whistling. And so if you were a caveman or a cavewoman or a cave child 250,000 years ago, 100,000 years ago, how did you manifest things without a manifestation, salesperson teaching you how, or a manifesting journal, or a manifesting, whiteboard with a teacher? Well, the way you did it was inside your throat chakra, your stomach chakra, and your heart chakra, your loin chakra, your sitting bones. What you did was you yearned and you longed for something. Now, look, make no mistake about it. I don't care what anybody tells me. You and I cannot start yearning and longing for something and then continuing to do so without it transpiring. We can't. It is the entire foundation of the law of attraction before those words, law of attraction, ever existed. Before the movie The Secret existed. Before the book The Secret existed. Before all of these people, I'd love to say assholes and bitches, but I hate to cuss on here. Long before these people monetized everything, yearning and longing existed. And you yearned and longed for a better cave. You yearned and longed for the weather to change. You yearned and longed for a healthy child when your wife was pregnant and going through the birthing process, and there you were alone, without fire, in a dark cave. I mean, don't kid yourself, man. There were no books. There were no guides to speak of. You didn't have a lot of friends. You didn't have birthing coaches standing around. You didn't have an OBGYN, Tony Williams or Tony Williams, Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins wasn't standing there coaching you through it at $1 million a year or $4,000 a session. Baloney. You were born with the ability to yearn and long. One of the greatest stories I ever heard in my whole life, 1984, before some of you were born, 1984. And Carolyn Mace, MYSS, told a story on this cassette tape that I have to this day. And she talked about how this man needed this particular root really badly back in the day when roots and plant life were used as remedies in Africa as opposed to medicines that are contemporary, these new day, Rockefeller medicines. But anyway, don't get me started there. But what happened was this man needed this root really badly for this ailment, this sickness. And Carolyn Mace, being a middle person here, knew the person who had the root, got a hold of him, and said, hey, so-and-so needs this. And the guy said, I already sent it in the mail. She's like, how did you send it? He has no ability to call you. He goes, I just felt he needed it. Well, that had everything to do, whether you call it telepathic or whatever you want to call it. From my perspective, it had everything to do with the person who needed it yearning and longing for it. It happens every day. You and I yearn and we long for something. Sometimes it happens immediately. Sometimes it doesn't happen for 2 or 3 weeks. Hell, 2 or 3 years. But one thing I do know is this, I swear to you, at my age today, my birthday, 64 years old, today, December 19th, is this, that no matter what, for me, it has always been better than what I expected. Everything I yearned for, everything I longed for, everything I set my intentions on, always ended up being a little bit different or quite a bit different, but it was always better than what I expected or more than what I wanted. Some of you could easily say to yourself, oh, this is easy for you to say, Bret. Excuse me. You're rich. It's like, oh, whoa, hold on a minute. These practices, these principles, this foundation was built long before I ever had money. I can remember being 8 and 9 and 10 and 11 years old and being on my paper route during those quiet times when I was walking along with my bags, in between houses, because I lived in more of a rural area in Milwaukee, Oregon. And I can remember thinking about a basketball, wanting one, or thinking about Puma tennis shoes, or wanting them, or thinking about, is my mom and dad going to be able to come up with the money so we can go, see Chief Laluska of this Indian tribe up in Washington, in Vancouver. I just remember for like a week begging, in my loins, in my stomach, in my throat, in my heart for certain things oftentimes. And this one in particular, I wanted to go see Chief Laluska. I wanted to see my first true Indian. And by God, if my old man didn't somehow come up with the money, years later, I came to recognize that the reason why our shotguns or our deer and elk rifles or my mom and dad's wedding set, other things were missing once in a while was because my father was pawning them. It makes me cry to think about this. And this is one reason why I don't live in that poverty. is because I understand the magnitude of me putting my intentions towards something in particular and not allowing myself to deviate from pursuing that out there in the spiritual field, the cosmic field, the energy fields that exist continually, day in and day out, off and on, sometimes a lot of the day, yearning and longing and intending to be part of or have that relief or money or thing or, love or anything that you intend to be part of, long to be part of, want, need. So if you're out there right now and you're trying to get, your marriage to work better, your relationship to work better with your children or your partner, if you're trying to make, marketing work better in this industry or your health better, don't you dare forget about just taking some quiet time, closing your eyes, placing your intentions, pinpoint them like you would a pin on a map on the wall. When you pinpoint a location, pinpoint what it is you want. Line out what you want. And ask the universe for it. Ask God for it. If you're not a believer, just put those intentions out there in the cosmic waves, into the universe. And there's an old saying out there, as I paraphrase here, ask and ye shall receive. But you got to understand this. I always add this. I started adding this in my 20s about 40 years ago. Excuse me. Ask and ye shall receive. Don't and you won't. Ask and you shall receive. Don't and you won't. And now more than ever, what I see with people is their unwillingness to stick with it, to bear down. Go back to that cave woman and watch her in that cave with her cave husband, and it's just the two of them. And it's dark with maybe a little light at the entrance of the cave. And don't you think for one moment, regardless of the fact that she doesn't have an OBGYN or a birthing coach standing over the top of her, don't you think for one moment that she doesn't know now is the time to push and not give up? Just think about that. How lonely that is sometimes for you, for me, for others around us, for that cave woman and that cave man. And then there's times where she knew, and maybe even he knew and felt it, since they were so interconnected without all these societal distractions. Honey, now's the time not to push. Just like OBGYN and birthing coaches say, stop now, relax, breathe. And they wipe the brow, they wipe the forehead. You can see I got a lot of forehead, but they wipe the forehead of the sweat and the chin and the neck. They comfort them. And then they all of a sudden, they got to go again. Go again. Go again. I dare you to go again. Hell, I double dare you to go again. Stop keeping track of it. I don't think too many women who have given birth to babies, billions and billions and billions of babies over the years, sat there and gave their significant other or their OBGYN or their birthing coach or their cave husband, account like, that's my 483rd contraction. That's my 484th contraction. Come on. Stop keeping track of everything like it's against you, like it's, Something that, if I'm going to go through this one more time, just one more time, I'm going to quit. Good God, stop quitting. Toe the line. Draw a line with a piece of chalk. And imagine yourself standing there going up against the opponent, which is you, by the way, which is me, by the way, with myself. I am the problem. I am the solution to the problem, and therein lies the problem. As I point at you, there's 3 fingers right here pointed back at myself. So as you point at Trump or Biden or Congress or politicians or your friends or family or me, as you point at others, you got 3 pointing back at you. It starts with you. Start yearning and longing again for what you want. Start asking the heavens above, God. If you're a non-believer, just put that energy out there. And soon, the next thing you know, here comes a helicopter. Now that it's raining. Here comes a life raft now that it's raining. And you're sitting on top of your house and it's floating down the river in Snoqualmie, Washington. And you just reach up and you grab the helicopter ladder and you're safe. Or you get in the boat. Or you grab the life ring or the life jacket. Or maybe you just nonchalantly put a life jacket on and say, I'm going to weather the storm and I'm going to do just fine. You're just fine, folks. And you're right where you're supposed to be always. There is no mistake. Everything you do is done with intentions. So make sure that you intend to do what you want to do, as opposed to doing something you don't want to do, and then not take credit for the fact that you intended to do it, because the bottom line is, whether you believe you can or you can't, you are right. You know that by now. You've heard this before. Whether you believe you can or you can't, you are right. So yearn and long and watch it manifest what you want. And believe you me, more often than not, it's going to be more beautiful. It's going to be more of what you want. It might be a little different, but believe me, it's going to be better. It will. Hang in there. Peace. It's that time of year. We're closing in on Christmas and the New Year. Finish the year strong. Don't come up short at the finish line. Go all the way through the finish line. Have a wonderful day. What is today? 12/19/2025. My birthday again. Have a wonderful Friday, December 12th, 2025, all of you. Bye-bye now.